Hi everyone, welcome back. Oh, I'm sorry I missed you last week, but I hope since we didn't meet, you had enough time to make something nice. And if you have and you don't mind, send me a picture. I would really like to see what everyone else is working on so I can ooh and ah. Well, what have I been up to? Socks. I'm on Sock Island and I'm not complaining. Why? Someone pointed something out to me that I hadn't thought about. And they said to me, "You're making a lot of socks at the request of other people." That means that they like your socks. Because think about it. If they didn't like it, they wouldn't keep asking for it, and you would not be making socks. So stop complaining. So I'm going to stop complaining. And just a quick thing before I start. How do I say this? I am not trying to brag and show off about the different ways I make socks. I'm just showing you how my sock making has evolved because I became bored with just making a plain sock. There's nothing wrong with a plain sock. I get requests for plain socks. I get requests, I don't want anything. I just want a plain white socks. I want a green sock. I want a yellow sock. I want a green and yellow sock. I want a masculine sock. That one was a little hard because I was like, what is a masculine sock? So I had to ask more questions. And it turned out what the gentleman meant was he didn't want any bright colors. He wanted your basic grays, your basic navy blues, or any shade of blue that was dark. But that one was a little tricky because I know some men who are peacocks. They don't put on socks unless you need shades to look at them. So that's that. I'm not if all you make or if you like not all you make, if what you like to make. No, that's not the way to say it. Whatever sock you make that you like, that's great because you are making it and you should make what you like. So at this stage where I want to experiment, because as I said, I was bored with what I was doing, and with the CSM, you can make a sock so quickly, why not? So what do I have on the table this week? This week, it's socks. Is it socks with color or colorful socks? That's like that argument, is it rice and peas or peas and rice? But I did make socks with some color, and I'd like to share them. Let's start with the most basic one. The most basic one is this one. Okay? Bring it a little closer. Closer. Not that close. Closer. Can you see that? Now this is my plain old opal white that I use for samples. And this is some yarn that I dyed. And I work the color every other stitch. And so it looks like towers with color between them. And this for me was a lazy sock. At least it started out that way. I thought by doing every other one, I wouldn't have to do as much work as opposed to doing a pattern so that on one row I did one stitch in one color, two stitches in another color, or if I could create a heart. I thought that would be too much work. When you do one by one color, it is so much work you would not believe. I would have been better off with a pattern. But this, it's really nice. There is one drawback to this. If you're going to do what I call a one by one color, which means every other needle has the color, does that make sense? So if the white is on one needle, color is on the next, the white is on another, color is on the next. That's what I mean by one. This is not very stretchy. As you can see, it makes the fabric stiff, even this way. So if you're going to do this, you need to put Lycra in the sock. That way when you're done and you hit it with the steam from the iron, you should have some flexibility. At least that's my thinking, but I haven't done it. But I know definitely, this is like wood here, look at that. Whereas the rest of the sock, you see all this give? But it was a fun project, and maybe next time I'll actually do a pattern. But I think for a pattern, I really need a chart. Um, because just keeping it off the top of your head, I don't see that working. This is a nice hat. I like this. But we're here to talk about socks, not hats. What else did I do? Oh, I did this one. Okay. Now, this is what it looks like on the side. If you open it up at the front, this is what it looks like. And again, this is my opal. I'm calling it generic, but this is my white opal. And this is yarn that I dyed. It's the same yarn that's in this sock, but you can see the colors pretty well in this. But here is what it looks like when it knits by itself. And if you do the back of the sock, this is what it looks like. Okay, now I didn't think of it at the time, but I could have taken one of the colors from here and probably put it in here, and that would have given the sock a different look. Now this one is from a sock pattern by Melody Cowan. Forgive me if I'm pronouncing her name incorrectly, but I believe she did a pattern, slices, and something else. But I'm sure if you look it up on the net, it will come up. It will come up, okay? But I like this pop of color. That's cute, okay? I think there are lots of possibilities to this. So I may go back to the drawing board on this one and see what happens if I insert a different color there. We'll see, we'll see. But these, they came out really nice. They really did. Okay, and this retains its flexibility. Okay, so that was good. Okay, what else did I do? Oh, I did this one. This was fun. This was fun. It's a regular sock, so you can see I'm not pretending. It's not just the top of it. It's a real sock. This one, bring it closer, you see it's checkerboard. Again, this is yarn I dyed. I'm so surprised that these have come out really nice, because at the time I was dyeing yarn, I was a beginner. I did not understand hue and analogous. Actually, I still don't, but that's all right. Anyway, see how this came out? The only issue I have with this is if you pull it, you can see where the yarn is carried as you go from the color to white. And then as you go from white to the color. When you're wearing the sock, it doesn't show. It has some stretch, but as you can see, it does have some stretch, but it begins going into the same territory as this one, in that the stretch is reduced. This one is severe. This one, I would say, is slight. Okay, and I think the easiest solution to these threads would be to latch. I was going to say latch up, but you're not going to be latching up. You're going to be latching down. So you would, on the wrong side, while you're making the socks, every couple rows, take that take the hook needle or a regular crochet hook, whatever, a sock machine needle, and latch up the stitches. Do a line of chain stitches, and then on this last row where you stop doing the color work, just stick the stitch onto one of the needles. So if it's a white stitch, stick it onto the white needle. If it's a colored stitch, stick it onto the next colored stitch. Stick it onto the needle with the next colored stitch. That way you don't have to worry about it showing on the other side. But this was a lot of fun. And if I had the patience, I would make a full pair of leggings from this. I think this would be awesome as leggings. And you know what? I think this also would be awesome as leggings, especially if, and I have to try. So I have this going this way, this going that way. Maybe what I should have done is taken the color the other way and see what it looked like. But as leggings, I think this has a lot of potential. But it's to have the time to do all of this. I've been complaining about being on Sock Island, and everyone thinks that because you have a circular sock machine, you can just click out socks. These, not so easy. These are a lot more work than you would think. When you start doing them, I can't now say that I'm bored. I'm definitely not bored. I need a bucket load more of patience, but yeah, came out good. So those are three. Oh, what else did I? Ah, this one. This one I think is awesome. I gotta tell you though, this one is the result of me not following instructions to the letter. I seem to specialize in that. I misinterpreted the directions, but I love the way that it came out. It looked like broken slashes. Can you see that? Yes, you can see that. And what's great, it has holes if you pull, but as a sock, it doesn't really show when you put it on. But this was fun. Okay, this was really, really fun. And I have to go. Now, here's the catch. I don't know which one of the instructions I didn't follow that resulted in this. So I'm going to have to go back to the instructions, play around with it, and try and figure how can I duplicate this, because I really like this. I think this is really awesome. Okay. And oh yes, I love this one. Look at this one. Look at this one. Okay. I love the way it has the little peaks there. That is really neat. And could you imagine if it was in black and white or two colors that you wouldn't normally think to put together? I think it would be awesome. And let me tell you, I did not invent any of these techniques. What I did is apply the knowledge I have from flatbed machine knitting to circular knitting. Okay, so I didn't sit at the machine for hours and figure this stitch out. No, I have just about every knitting machine, flatbed machine knitting book there is out there. Okay, and I finally said, you know what? I need to go through these things and see if I can do at least one stitch from each book. And so far, I'm making a dent in it, and I'm really pleased. One of the things I didn't do, and you're gonna laugh at me, you would think I would say, okay, this is from this book, this is from, that's not how I function. I find a pattern that I like, I run to the copy machine and I make a copy of it, and I go from there. And now I have to try and remember, or I'll be spending hours going through those books. But I really like those books, and I'm pleased with the socks that I'm seeing coming from them. And the one thing I can say about this, going from flatbed to doing the pattern on a circular machine, you have to think about the cylinder you're going to use, because it does require some adjustment, because on the flatbed you're working flat, the two ends will never meet. But when you're working circular, because it's in a circular, the last stitch is next to the first stitch. So you need to remember, or you may need to adjust your stitch count so that if you're working like the checkerboard, where's that? You make sure you use the number of needles. Okay, what's the best way to explain this? The number of needles in the color can be, that doesn't have to be, is the same color as the number of needles in the white. But you need to use a cylinder so you get color white, color white, color white. And you don't end with color white, white. You understand what I mean? You need to really think, if this is a stitch count of 5, which cylinder is best for me to use? If this is a stitch count of 6, which cylinder is best to use? Is this a stitch count of 3? Okay? And I think one of the things that would be good to do is to try out the actual pattern before you start making a sock. Because you don't want to be at the end of the row going, oh, I should have used a different cylinder. But these these were fun. They're the hardest I've had to work so far, but I'm really pleased with them. And I think I'm going to make myself a pair checkerboard, but I have to figure out which colors I'm going to use. And I love this. So I am going to, these are on my radar for me. Okay? Yeah. And please, if after you watch this video, if you have a favorite, please let me know. Okay? Yeah. But this was awesome. Thank you so much for stopping by. Okay? I'll catch you next time. Take care.